Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullah ve Berekatuhu. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yes, inshallah, as you all know, this is an intensive program about cause and effect, and we began with asking very typical, very conventional questions, and I also want to highlight these existential questions. Why do I exist? Where did I come from? What's happening to me? Where am I going to go? And what's the right description and explanation of this life journey? As we see in the images, you and I are always subject to continuous change. And again, why we are changing? And it's possible to find is it possible to find convincing answers for those type of questions? And indeed, since I exist and since being exists, and this cannot be denied, and indeed, since each is not outside time, but is being continuously renewed, so we take these questions serious and want to reach a certainty. Or, as said in the previous section, we want to find satisfactory answers, if it is possible. So, inshallah, we will have a very important subject, cause and effect. And in this presentation, I seek to concentrate on the methodology that we follow during the program and the methodology that we use to find answers to those questions I mentioned before. So the ultimate goal is to establish, simplify, and present a model which helps us to apply it on our particular interests. So at least it can seem as a trial. And let me begin by reviewing some important aspects of the previous introduction session and introducing our puzzle about causality issue. We should be aware that there are certain phrases and understandings which are commonly used and imply some contradictory thoughts. Even the believers also use them without realizing their implications. And during this program, we will focus on the three of the most important of them. The first is causes create these leaves, or leaves form itself. It comes into existence and later ceases to exist. Or we can say leaves are natural things. I mean, nature necessitates and creates them.
Excuse me. One of the most popular one is randomness to it. Random things. Randomly creates those. Can we put one of those three, or we need to look at both?
The section which will be about it forms itself will touch on that issue. Will touch on the randomness issue, inshallah.
And also, I think number 3 also relates to it.
Yeah.
Because natural forces don't intend; they are conscious, but they make it happen. That's what they say.
Yeah. She said also the third section will touch on the randomness issue because it's very correlated with the nature makes this and the concept of randomness are very correlated, she said. And in our daily lives, we see the universe or the things in such fashions. For example, hey, look, outside, leaves are sneezing, getting older. And why? It's easy, man, come on, because we are living in the fall season right now, but don't worry, because when we reach the spring, then they will appear again. Why? Because the spring will start, the weather will become more heat or something like that. And also, leaves are so important. Why? Because trees are using their leaves for gas exchange or light capture. This list can be going on. This list can be expanded. But again, as I'm changing, at the same time, simultaneously, shape of the leaves, color of the leaves are also changing. And the questions that we asked before at the very beginning are still alive. What is the reason of the existence of a leaf? And why it is continuously being given existence? What gives its shape? What gives its color? First and foremost, asking these questions, as mentioned in the previous slides, asking these questions makes us neither philosophical nor metaphysical. Instead, we define those type of questions as human questions. Let me give some examples to show to what extent we are tend to ask those type of questions as human beings. Our reality is that we always search for the existence in our daily lives. And that makes us human. For example, let's say a cat can eat any food that he finds, especially when it smells amazing. And the cat is not expected to question, hey, okay, before eating, where this food come from? Okay, who put this food here? It doesn't need to find satisfactory answers to eat this food. Or a plant probably does not question where this water coming from. Where does this water come from? At least to our knowledge or to our observation, they don't question the existence. But when it comes to human being, there is something which differentiates us from animals or plants. Let's say we find a mailbox in front of our door, and we don't expect to get mail from anybody. What would we do? We probably would question, hey, where does this mail come from? Who sent it to me? And what is the message? And what this box includes, or something like that. And let's say your course finished, you are the student at the college, and you went to home, and you find these delicious foods on your kitchen desk. Again, what would we do? Could quickly eating the food be your first action? I don't think so. Maybe you would question again. Hey, come on. Are there anybody? Mom? Or Ali, are you here? Something like that. We automatically question the source of existence, and we are accustomed to do this in our daily lives, actually. So, understanding that asking those kind of questions are very human is so crucial to start engaging with the causality issue. So, and on the other hand, during this presentation, we won't acquire a new ability to be able to think about these issues. Instead, we already has those kind of capacities, but we are not accustomed to use this logic or use our capacities to question the existence. So, my first definition is thinking about causality is human. Now, to start new thinking about causality issue carries us to our second definition. And my second definition is relinquishing prominent slogans is prerequisite for our discussion today. Prerequisite for renewing our minds. In our discussions, inshallah, we try not to use slogans or preconceptions because we are here to confirm the slogans with conscious choice. So most of the time, we miss these aspects and it becomes difficult for us to take a different path in our thinking about causality. And let me clarify what I'm trying to say by giving examples from two extreme opposite examples from our daily lives. Here I make two hypothetical survey, and we have two respondents here, respondent A and respondent B. And respondent A, talking without knowing it, and presumes that there is no architect of this universe. Then, when I ask that, how do you come to that conclusion? There is no answer. Then I ask, what do you want to know? And he says, I'd like to examine how trees produce oxygen. That's it. Then I say, okay, we observe that there's an association between tree and oxygen, but don't you think how this oxygen comes into existence? Do you think that tree can be the real source of the existence of the leaves or the oxygen? Then he says, this is not my business, man. Then I again ask them, why this is not your business? Then he says, because those kind of issues are metaphysical issues. So in other words, he says, I'm focusing on physical world and I'm not interested in non-observable things. I don't devote my time for this kind of dogmatic or indemonstrable issues. So then when I say, do we need to observe something to confirm that it exists or questioning its source of existence, then again there's no answer. And let's see what's going on at the respondent B side. Respondent B, again talking without knowing it, as mentioned in the previous lecture in detail, presumes that there's an architect of this universe, and I call him as a God. Then again, we ask the same question, how do you come to that conclusion? And again, there's no answer. And he says, probably this is what we believe. Then I ask, upon that conclusion, what do you want to know? Then he says, nothing. You know, all of these trees and oxygens are created by the God. So then I say, okay, but how can I confirm that? How can I confirm your claim? You say all of these trees and oxygens are created by God. Then again, I get the same answer. It's not my business, man. Why? Because it is your choice. You can believe or you cannot believe. It is your choice. You are free. You have free will, right? Then I ask, why this is not your business? And as a human being, I need to confirm the existence of God right now. How can I save or live as if there is God? Or how can I confirm that I am created? So I ask, what are your evidences? Then he says, I think you read some philosophical texts, and these questions that you ask to me are so philosophical questions, and I'm not interested in talking that kind of issues. And again, when you say, don't we need to confirm or reach to conclusions to accept there is God, then again, there is no answer. So, of course, I'm a little bit caricaturizing the situation a little bit. These are the extreme respondents. But I'm trying to say that when we bring our unquestioned assumptions, previous beliefs into our interaction of the objects in the universe, it doesn't matter from the naturalist perspective or the believer's perspective. or religious perspective, we just install our previous conclusions on our interactions. So, and say this is created by God, or this is not created by God, this is happened after the nature. And it appeals to what I caricaturized here. So my second definition is relinquishing prominent slogans is prerequisite. So, if we don't pay attention to these two definitions, in my understanding, we missed a lot. Then, one of you may ask, what we miss? This is a good question. First, especially at the respondent A side, we miss the emphasis on the requirement of absoluteness for the existence. Again, you may ask, what do you mean by saying absoluteness? Inshallah, following presentations will explain in detail why we need to understand the requirement of absoluteness and what do we mean by absoluteness. I'm just introducing the concepts right now. And second, especially at the respondent B side, we miss to understand how contradictory our lives. I claim that God created the cell, but then I say the cell is producing this. Or I say, of course God created the cell, but cell has a capacity to produce something. And because God gave it to the cell, and now cell is producing independently with the authority which God gave it to him. So, as mentioned in the first session, this is our problem of our age. And we actually don't know what does creation mean. What does the createdness mean? What do we mean by saying creating, creation, producing, making? What do we mean? And at the respondent A side, I can't explain why this flower seems so beautiful to me. I can't explain how this bird, as if seems, knows everything and can make several calculations. And I can't explain why I feel happy when somebody gives me a gift. The only answer from the respondent A's perspective is that, whether implicitly or explicitly, all of these are stemming from coincidence, randomness, and meaninglessness. At the respondent B side, again, we don't know why this flower seems so beautiful to me, how this bird knows everything, or why I feel happy when somebody gives a gift to me. The only thing from respondent B's perspective that I just say God creates all of this and that's it. And as if, like in the respondent A, we say God created this, but we construct our sentences and we decide to attribute as if all of these are random and meaningless. Why? Because we, again, as mentioned in the previous section, we understand the creation or the createdness something external. So if creator is something external, then why do I'm impressed by this flower, or why I feel happy when I take a gift? Doesn't make sense to me. And in this respect, whether you are from the respondent A side or respondent B side, that provides same answers. So, to that point, let me summarize. First, we said that things exist and are always subject to continuous change. And second, we said thinking about causality is human, not due to intellectual concerns, but due to human concerns. We don't aim to increase our intellectual information about causality. And third, we say we don't want to carry our previous slogans to our discussions. Then, okay, what will we do? Our suggestion is that we need to question. Question what and why questioning? Why questioning? Because without questioning, first and foremost, we cannot reach the certainty. I'd like to confess that we really love running away from our responsibilities. And it is straightforward that if we don't question the causality, it is really difficult to reach free thought. And we cannot solve our reality. And as I caricaturized before, if one does not have intention to submit the truth to the God, then he calls raining as a meteorological event, but it is not clear what does he mean. Okay, you don't want to accept there's God, but what do you mean? What do you want to say to me? What is your message to me? It is not clear. I will explain why it is not clear, inshallah. And when you say, okay, there's no God, when you say there's no God, are you attributing the creation of rain to something meteorological in the causal chain? This is what you want to say to me? It is not clear. And some says it is raining, and some says this is the action of God. But when we say action of God, are we attributing the creation of the rain to the God? What do you mean again? What do you mean by attributing the creation to the God? And what does this understanding tell to me? And again, we should have some evidences to show where did we get the idea of God. So I cannot deny myself, I cannot go against my human qualities, and I cannot contradict myself. We all know that if we imitate, it is not belief. That is why we need questioning, because belief requires certainty or satisfaction. If we imitate, it's impossible to be satisfied, or it's impossible to reach certainty. And second, why questioning? Questioning stops being dogmatic. When we say, what is the source of flying? Actually, if you don't want to carry the dogmatic, unquestioned or unfounded assumptions, there's nothing to say about the source of flying. To stop being dogmatic, we should demonstrate. We should demonstrate, and we should have some evidences to calm that conclusions. Okay, so I can skip this part a little bit. The whole point of this program is to benefit ourselves. And after talking the importance of questioning, the more important question is that when we start questioning, are we following the right path? Or how can I experience the truth? And what is the right direction? And how can I know I'm on the right path? Or we are taking the right steps? To be able to question or start questioning, being believer or non-believer, doesn't matter, as I understand. What we will do in this program, inshallah, is that we will try to proceed from micro world to macro world. We will talk about individuals, we will talk about birds, we will talk about plants, we will talk about our feelings, and try to present a model and try to present a right path for questioning. And what is our model? Let me briefly introduce the model. Our model has some principles. The first principle is we focus on today. We focus on that moment. We focus right now. Instead of talking Big Bang or evolution or the origins of the species, we are dealing with the moment. In our questioning, we will not refer to the past, as well as we will not refer to the future. We will take the immediate moment and try to understand the existence and how the thing that I observe comes into existence in that specific moment. And we start questioning the source of existence by contemplating on what is in front of us and not going into historical accounts or stories. For example, we are not talking about how the first protein might have been synthesized billion years ago, or in whatever atmospheric conditions or something like that. Contrary, we are interested in how my cat is happening to be living right now. And one may say, why we are concentrating on today? What do you mean? Why emphasis on the moment, on that moment is that much important? I have some answers for that. The first one is examining the moment protects us to speculate. Because talking about the Big Bang, talking about the evolution, talking about the eternity of the universe are topics that one cannot escape from making some speculations. But when we start to talk and question what is happening right now, there is no room to speculate. The second advantage is examining the moment allows us to generalize. I mean, understanding the existence of one single thing right now is completely adequate to generalize our conclusion. As we think of the concept of creation deeply, it's easy to understand that there is no difference between creating an atom and creating the whole universe. There's no difference. The one who has a capacity to create an atom should also have a capacity to create the whole universe. Because it is weird to think that somebody can create something but cannot create some others. So it is not possible, and we have to think about it deeply. And the principle is straightforward. Whoever can create the universe can be the creator of the mosquito, can be the creator of the atom, can be the creator of my hair. And the third one is...
Excuse me. How did you come to the conclusion that this is somebody? Like, fair? What? I mean, how?
You are right. I'm sorry to install my previous language to my something. Let's say something. Whatever it is. You're right. Thank you so much.
Looking from objects.
Feel free. Whoever or whatever, let's say whatever. It's more less normative. Whatever can create the universe, then it can be the creator of the mosquito, of an atom, of anything. And examining this moment helps us to understand continues to change. Because as everything within the universe, I'm subjected to continuous change. And generally speaking, when we talk about the existence or how things being created, it sounds like we are just talking about the single time point. But like in the explanations of Big Bang Theory.
Excuse me again.
Yeah. No, don't scare.
Okay, again, how did you come to the conclusion that something giving existence and matter?
I have a principle for that. I will talk about that.
Too much bonus.
Anything has its source of existence as long as this is my second principle, but just wait a second. Okay, we are talking about examining the moment helps us to understand continuous change. Right now, for example, we are observing the embryo is growing and changing, and it's in front of our eyes. And how we explain this changing matters? Do we explain it's continuously changing with DNAs, atoms, coincidence? General tendency in both evolutionary thought or the Big Bang Theory is that we should go historical account and as evolution, then we can explain the rest of the existence. So they presume that the problem is not here, the problem is at the back. But we can't go back to the beginning. This is very important, I think. We don't think that this kind of reflections, Big Bang or evolution, explains or solves our problem that we highlighted here. And I'm aware that our minds are drawing usually sequences of events. For example, step by step. I was a baby, I grew into a young boy. It seems to me I'm developing, I'm evolving. In here, we are trying to question each cause. Where did it come from? Whatever a baby, as a baby, it doesn't matter. Are you young right now? Yeah. How do you come to that? How do you come to come into existence as a young? But I was a baby. How did you come into existence as a baby? So, who gave the existence to the baby? Who gave the existence to the younger boy? Who gave the existence to the elder boy? Let's say. So the main point here is that who gave existence to it at every stage, and where did you get the thing which exists right now? Because I have no doubt about my existence and I'm subjected to continuous existence, and this must be explained. So that's why we are focusing on that moment. And finally, I'm emphasizing a lot on the focusing at that moment because it's so important for us. And we think it solves so much things. Finally, examining the moment leads to analyze cause and effect independently. What I mean? We all know the following questions. The chicken egg question. A very famous puzzle. Which comes first? Actually, in the light of our model, in our program, in our model, does chicken come first or does egg come first is a ridiculous question. It's a weird question. It's an odd question. It's a stupid question. Why? Because it says or asks nothing. When we start the question right now, does egg come first? Excuse me. How do you get the egg right now? Or if you are talking about the chicken, don't question whether it is first or second. How do you get the chicken right now? Right now, at that moment. So, Some says atoms attract each other. Again, excuse me, where did you get this attraction of atom? Trees produces oxygen. Excuse me, where did you get the oxygen? When I'm thirsty, I drink water, then it's gone. Excuse me, where did you get the water? Before talking about the relation between the being thirsty and the water, how do you get the water? So we can increase the number of examples. We can increase the examples, and in these examples, I try to separate the cause and effect relationships. In other words, cause exists independently from effect, and effect exists independently from the cause. If we hear a causal claim, we can quickly separate the cause and effect and question the existence of both at the same time. Tree and oxygen. Separate them, question the existence of the tree, question the existence of the oxygen at the same time. So this was our first principle, and let's continue with the second principle. The second principle is...
Excuse me, could you also clarify me methodology of questioning the existence from what perspective, what we are trying to do with these principles, where we are trying to go, what we are trying to get?
Inshallah, I have the model 2 slides later on that. You are a very intelligent student. You always guess what's going next. The second principle is anything has its source of existence as long as it exists. This is also a very crucial principle. We are not accustomed to think in that way. If something exists, both material beings and abstract qualities, what is the reason for them to exist? What is the source of the existence of time? What is the source of the existence of human? What is the source of the existence of art, of wisdom, of will, existence of anything? I'm conscious that every existing world, my own being, my own qualities, I'm also conscious that I'm conscious. I experience several qualities. I can smell, I can taste, I can think. I can make plans, I can get excited. So the second principle is asking the source of the beings and qualities. And where did I get this quality? Or does it need to be made? So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can we just state this as anything in the observe, anything I can observe in this, anything I can perceive has source of existence. We cannot talk about the things I cannot perceive, and I cannot extend this principle to things things which are beyond my perception. Okay. So instead of anything like in full generality, I would like to restrict to anything in my perception, anything I perceive, anything I observe or I can touch.
I think I couldn't get your point.
Maybe I can clarify?
Maybe you can paraphrase it. Clarify.
I think what is being said is, can we just emphasize on the fact that I cannot comprehend existence that I am not aware of. So basically, I think, does that make sense? Like anything which I can perceive to exist, this is what the statement applies.
Of course, I can question just what I observe.
Okay.
But anything is I feel like it's too very general. This principle I obtain from the things I see and I observe, right? I see, I can touch the things I see, I touch, I feel. But things beyond those,
What do you
What?
mean by things beyond those?
If there is anything.
Like if you say there's a God, can you prove the existence of source?
I think we miss a point. In here, in this second principle, actually what I'm trying to say, let me clarify it by giving a very simple example. As you remember, I said we are not accustomed to think in that way. We are not familiar with that kind of thinking if we don't think about these issues before. In here, I have two sentences. The first sentence is, the wall is white. And the second sentence is, the wall is painted white. Do you think these two sentences are different?
I think it is causing problem. The word present tense is as used here. The previous one, can you go to the previous one? If you say anything must have its source of existence is a human conclusion. Must have. If you say has its source, it raises many questions. How do you know?
Okay.
But must have, but my human question. For example, I come to the kitchen, food is properly prepared. I conclude it must have been prepared by a conscious being who knows me that I will come there. Even I haven't seen the preparer. This is human question. So the problem with the language, must have. Okay. The second one, you can change it accordingly. The wall is white, is correct, present. But the wall must have been painted white is human conclusion. That's the problem.
What if wall is white itself,
Sorry?
What if you assume that wall is not white? So if it is white...
If a human being, if you can say it, say it. You are free to say it.
Now, you assume wall is, for example, is made of bricks, which is naturally brown.
Actually, in this example, the emphasis is not questioning who is the painter. In here, the main emphasis is that we are not accustomed to think. For example, we visit our friend's home, Zafer's home. Oh, nice. Your wall is white. Usually we don't say, your wall is painted white, right? Or for example, Ali comes to your home. Oh, your wall must have been painted white by a painter that must exist in the universe right now in front, right? We are not accustomed to, but it seems ridiculous. But if we want to come to a certainty, if we want to learn how to question what's going on in the universe right now, we have to gain this way of thinking, because it seems ridiculous, because we think or assume that we already know that there must be a painter, man. Don't be ridiculous. It seems like that, but we are not accustomed to apply this logic when it comes to question the existence of the things in the universe, like questioning the flower, questioning the existence of bird, questioning the existence of water, mountains, oceans, stars. We are not accustomed to use this logic to question those kind of things.
So then is the statement the wall is white wrong? And it's not blue, it's white.
Yeah.
But what's wrong there?
Yeah, that's also a good point. What do you think? That's what I'm trying to highlight. So that means that during the presentations, for example, we will not claim that, hey man, you assume that you observe you observe a leaf on a tree, right? There's no leaf. There's no tree. you are assuming something wrong. Actually, in the real life, there's no tree, there's no leaf. What's happening then? All of the things that you see, what? There are some methodologies to claim something, but in our presentations, we will not say the wall is not white. But we will focus mostly on the wall must have been painted white by a painter. And we are looking for who can be the painter. This is our logic, as I understand.
So the argument is the wall is white is not the argument between white or blue and the existence of the whiteness of the wall. What is the word is missing here. What is the source of existence of whiteness? That's the question. Not the question is white or blue or red.
I see. So, for example, if this example would be something like somebody is killed or a dead corpse is lying on the floor. We came to the scene and we are saying that this guy is dead. So I guess so the emphasis is in the wrong place. So why is this guy dead, or how did he die? Because we know that if, especially this guy has a hole in his forehead, we assume, it must be like somebody take the trigger and kill the guy. So a more proper question would be, this guy is killed, or a more better statement. I guess this is the same thing here, right? So instead of saying that the wall is white, there's nothing wrong with that in terms of saying that it's not blue, but the emphasis is in the wrong place, because who gave the whiteness to it? Or what is the source of the existence of whiteness over here, which in this example, I guess, would be the painter.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Are there comments?
Yeah. I'm sorry, for the slide before, anything must have its source of existence. Here we don't necessarily need outer source. The source can be from itself.
You have to question. As a human being, we have to question, can it be?
And this is gonna be the one session which questions the can the itself be the source of the existence? As you see, we are prepared a little bit. Okay, actually we talk about that. Okay, let's start with the third principle. Okay, we highlighted that we are asking what is the source of this thing which is in front of my eyes right now, and we are looking for the doer or painter. But here there's two important questions arise. What kind of qualities I observe and what kind of capacities needed in order to give existence to these qualities? So the third principle is existing things and manifested qualities should require absolute capacities to exist. In our lives, we see that things, including ourselves, exist and they exhibit certain qualities. For instance, beauty, balance, excessiveness, choice, whatever it is, whatever you observe, you can say, okay, you choose beauty, but I don't observe a beauty here. Okay, whatever the quality you observe, okay, you are not supposed to buy my options. Okay, you say not beauty, but X. Okay, we can talk about the quality of X. It doesn't matter. But these are the qualities that we choose to talk about it. Beauty, art, wisdom, and order. And we think that we definitely observe a beauty on it. Even I cannot touch it, this caterpillar, because it scares me a little bit. But I definitely observe an art on it, look at the colors and designs on it, and I definitely observe a wisdom behind it when I deeply examine its art or its organs, cells, its or the wisdom behind the design of its shape or something. And I definitely observe the order behind the wisdom and the within this thing, caterpillar. So the question is here, to whom or to what I can attribute these qualities? Let's say, how can I relate the manifested art to the artist? It's very difficult question. And as we talked before, if there's an art, actually you didn't accept it, but if there's an art, there should be an artist, or there must be an artist, and we don't know whatever it is. And yet this is what we are experiencing in this world. So we are looking at the universe. There are clouds, stars, big things, small things, huge things, planets, animals, mountains, earth, water. They all have some qualities, and they are manifesting some qualities and somewhat different qualities. And as I said, in my example, I just touched on the art, beauty, and wisdom and order, and the following presentations also will touch just on these qualities. As I said, the number of qualities can be increased, can be changed. They are subject to change. It depends on your priorities. But for consistency, we choose these 4 qualities. And we said we observe beauty, art, wisdom, order behind it. And we said we cannot think of caterpillar excluding these qualities. So what kind of capacities are required to bring caterpillar and manifested qualities at the same time right now? Frankly, from our daily lives, actually we know the answers of these questions. If there's no will, ink or color cannot make beauty. If there's no power, ink or color cannot make the art. If there's no knowledge, ink or color cannot make wisdom. And if there's no organization or organizer, ink and color cannot make order. The conclusion is that things would not be able to exist without these qualities. Will, power, knowledge, organization are the core ingredients to bring anything into existence. And unfortunately, since we are not accustomed to think about causality, since we accept these qualities, since we accept what we heard without questioning, these qualities and capacities and the need for these qualities are denied most of the times in our daily lives. But inshallah, in all of our sections, our presenters would elaborate this denial. So, we're almost done. Before schematizing our model, let's remember our definitions and principles. We said thinking about causality is human, relinquishing prominent slogans is prerequisite, and questioning is human. And we had 3 principles. The first, we focus on today, that moment right now. The second principle was, indeed, anything must have its source of existence as long as it exists. And the third one, existing things and manifested qualities should require absolute capacities to exist. So, is there any source for any human mind to relate these manifested qualities. Inshallah, the following 4 sessions will question that can we attribute the required capacities of the existence of these qualities respectively to causes, or to itself, or to nature, or to God. And each session will define what they mean by causes, itself, nature, and God. And then they ask, how can we human beings relate these manifested qualities to the source of the qualities? Then they consider all potential suspects and eliminate the ones that are incapable. So this is our simple model that we will follow in our program. Actually, it's not a difficult model in reality, but we never deliberate on it. In plain English, we never think that the relationship between the wall and the painter. And inshallah, we try to unpack our implicit assumptions through the program. So my presentation is over here. Thanks for listening. Okay, questions, protests, objections, denials, concerns, comments, whatever you have.
You said existence requires willpower, knowledge, organization, etc. Existence of something requires willpower, knowledge, organization. Is that the only option? Or how do you conclude this?
What do you mean, is this the only option? Of course, you can say some other secondary or some other. For example, what is your suggestion?
By chance.
We need chance.
And everything, the material, the matter, exists by itself. So, source of existence is self. Thus, things are making themselves by chance. Things are happening by chance.
I guess this is one of the options issue, that it happens itself. And there will be one session just when it happens itself.
I feel like my next question, you answer like, we are going to answer this next year.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't discuss. I'm just saying there's one session on it happens by itself.
Thank you. I was joking. We need to take serious.
But there's a distinction between what he said and you said. In the following presentation, it will discuss, can we attribute these manifested qualities to itself? But you're asking and claiming that, could we add, or should we add, chance as an option or as a required capacity to be in the existence?
Make it a little bit more practical. For instance, this slide. When I observe the slide, what do I say? So is knowledge required to prepare such a thing, or by chance can it come into existence? So I guess at that point, once we observe a book or something meaningful, so the question is, if I deny that I don't observe any knowledge over here, yeah, for sure, we are good to go after this point, but if I do observe knowledge, or let's say a beautiful flower, if I take it to be beautiful, this is where I guess everything starts. If I don't take it to be beautiful, no more discussion after that point, that's right. But if I take it to be beautiful, then the question, and the rest of the discussion will carry on. Because on top of that, let's say this slide is prepared, but this is only prepared once. But since he was giving the example of your cat, for instance, your cat is renewing. This is also some point that he mentioned. There's an ongoing renewal of the cat. So it's not only beautiful once, but it keeps renewing in terms of beauty as well. So when we say chance, then we would need to consider that there's no beauty, first of all. If there is beauty, then this chance needs to replicate or preserve this beauty throughout the time as well. So I guess when saying chance, we need to consider all those options and then reformulate the question, does saying such make sense?
And I guess when we say, maybe we conflate into things like when we talk about source of something, source of existence, for instance, chance is not a proper answer. I'm not saying that we cannot do it, but as a type of answer, it's not a proper answer because chance is the name of the process. For instance, the source can be some causes, external causes, and they come together as by chance. That you can say, for instance. But in that model, the chance is not the source. The source is the causes. So you still have to attribute whatever you see to something. So for instance, to cause, like to sun, or to, the earth. So you have to attribute the qualities to something, but the process that these qualities come together, you may, for instance, claim that they come together by chance, attributing the purpose, for instance, to the chance, not the knowledge. So you see what I mean? Like the qualities you observe, they have to be attributed to something. And chance is not something, it's the name of the process. So there is no such thing as chance, like as an entity that I can attribute.
One thing is, first of all, this is something we know that is human-made. So we are not talking about things human-made. We are talking about things we don't see how it comes into existence. And I'm trying to understand them, and it was my objections were promised to Yunus Emre that they are coming, and he's have given me okay to bring up. So I'm just trying to understand. Now, I'm taking the existence of material ground. So the source is itself, because we didn't... I'm trying to understand those principles, and I think they are very valuable, and I'm trying to make more sense of it, and challenge it also, to strengthen and get rid of any doubts about those. So, taking the existence granted, the material granted, so the source of material is itself. So it doesn't have a beginning, it's material is coming from itself. Now, things are coming into chance, into existence by chance, like a tree, this world, sun, the moon, everything coming into existence by chance. Now, I cannot talk about outer knowledge. Those are coming by chance, so there's no knowledge. There's no deliberation. So, it doesn't make sense. Will has no... What?
You mean you don't see any deliberate action in the universe? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. I don't say I'm bringing the questions to...
No, I'm just trying to understand the statement.
If things are coming into existence by chance, so here the existence taken granted. So existence was here forever. The material was here forever. It didn't come into existence from nothing. So it was always existing. Now, if things come into existence, now existence taken granted. Now I'm trying to understand the existence of a cat or existence of a tree. Those are coming into existence by chance, made from the molecules and so on by chance. So I cannot talk about knowledge. Knowledge doesn't make sense here.
I think Qasim wants to say something on this.
No, I was just going to say that if you, even to make the claim that things are coming by chance, how do you support that argument itself? Is there any evidence to say that whether it's coming through wisdom, through knowledge, or through by chance, what evidence is there to support that claim? First question would be, is there any? And my own assumption, not assumption, I guess through my own investigation, my answer is I can't see any that it's just coming by chance, because there is meaning in its existence as I observe it. So I have no reason to claim that it's coming by chance. So I guess the argument that you're proposing becomes invalid without any evidence. It's the what if scenarios, right? It's like, what if the universe didn't exist? That's like, we cannot comprehend that idea because I only know of the universe existing. So what if things come by chance is a similar claim, because I cannot even talk about it when everything that I see has no element of chance, but rather wisdom at every single level in its existence.
Okay, keep this question in mind. Okay, I think we will have a time to discuss on this issue.
Yes. Another.
One comment.
About the same
Yes.
issue?
Small comment.
Okay. Let's share your small comment.
But there are two bold statements that you're making right there. One is
I'm perfectly aware of it.
yeah. So the existence of material is eternal. This is the first assumption that you're making, and the second one is nothing is coming into existence right now. Like, for example, if there is no cat today in this neighborhood, let's say, and tomorrow a newborn cat is coming into existence, according to your assumption, there's no such thing as a new cat coming into existence. It is just like, I don't know how we would formulate
It is transformed through the existing material.
Yes, but it was not there before. So you just give it a different name of transformation. But to me, the cat was not there before, but now there's cat. So it's like, for example, I have ink and paper. Now I start writing something in there, maybe a plan, something. And I say this plan was not there before, but now it is there. But according to you, there's no plan, or there shouldn't be any, because it was not there before, and it didn't exist under it or anything before. But right now I start writing a plan with something meaningful, because knowledge is important in here. I write something there which was not there before, but according to what you were saying, you are assuming that still there is no poem over there. It is just a different combination or ordering of ink and paper.
Okay, the thing is, sorry, since I was...
I need to stop you.
We have 10 minutes.
We can have more questions. No problem.
Can I make a comment on that? Or is it...
But everyone's making a comment about what I said.
First, according to these principles, can you use a reference from science, a well-proven reference from science, like the laws of thermodynamics? Like, the first one talks about entropy, right? It means, like, for example, if this room, if we just keep using it and nobody cleans it, over time it's going to become dirty, unorderly, right? That's like a law of the universe that has been proven, and that kind of shows that beautiful things that are perceived as beautiful and orderly, they don't. If you leave them to chance, they usually don't happen by themselves. Usually things get out of order by themselves. Not come together is another perspective.
Yeah. I think if you want to run, because as I understand you, I know you don't like this answer, but really believe me, we will talk about that. All of them. Go ahead.
If there is a question, any question, the answer or the question is not any question about the rise of the crisis, no, related to existence of anything, the answer has to be human. It means ask yourself. The first session was, are you really as a human being satisfied with this answer? Because at the end of the day, it is you who will give the answer. You are not going to borrow the answer from outside.
It's impossible.
So ask yourself, can it be in this way? Can it be the result of this? Can it be the existence be eternal? Yeah, but to say it is very easy. Ask yourself, can I have a sign for it? Can I have a evidence for it? Ask yourself. It is up to you. And then at the end, it is you who will decide about any answer which satisfies your human quality. That's why it is up to us to reflect on it. We shouldn't wait for a ready answer, transfer to us, and imitate the ready answer. We have to know, for example, I'm trying the possibility of eternity of existence. Is there any evidence for it? It seems this way or that way. You can ask other people, expertise on it if you have anybody. And then at the end, it is still you that will give the answer and get your own satisfaction, human satisfaction. That is why our duty is only make the suggestion and let the person concerned confirm it, reject it, reflect on it, divert it, distort it, or accept it. It is up to him. Everybody is free with no limitation. So the answer will be, well, of course, you have to think about it. Don't challenge me, challenge yourself. You have to think about it. When you look at something, look for the answer for yourself.
Yes, guys.
So this, just to provide some context to my question, it's tied to the initial slide that you had about the mailboxes showing up at the doorstep. It encouraged me to kind of reflect and question, why is it that what draws my attention to questioning perhaps the source of something's existence, of anything's existence, happens or is more easier when it occurs out of the usual cycle as I have understood it. Meaning, the only reason why I would question the source behind this mailbox is if I did not order it myself, right? If I did not order a particular item. So, in our day-to-day, I guess, I would not question the color of the wall unless I have that question to begin with, right? If one day I just show up and the wall is painted in a whole new different color, that's when the question is, I guess, instigated. And perhaps, which made me kind of link it a little bit into the verse that was shared earlier after the earlier presentation, which is, he calls basically to your attention, or he calls to you. As I'm interpreting that, my understanding is that my attention is being drawn to this question. But my main question right now is, why is it that if things don't not break, but if things don't kind of change from the main order, as how I'm concluding it to be the main order, my attention isn't drawn so easily, right? Again, like if my attention wasn't drawn to the mailboxes just because let's say I get mailboxes every single day, my attention wouldn't be drawn to it. But as I personally put this example, again, I exist starting with that reality. I don't question my existence because nothing is drawing my attention. And I know that, yes, dogma can get in the way. Preconceived notions can get in the way. Taking existence for granted can get in the way. But those are all obstacles. What is, I guess, the instigator of just existing? And perhaps anyone can chime in on what that is, because I'm still trying to reflect on that.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to understand Qasim's point, the last thing he said. So what is the instigator of the familiarity? Like, what are you asking? Why is it that I attain a certain level of comfort or get used to a certain pattern, that until they are broken, I'm not alerted?
But more towards, even in the first existence of a thing, like if I just came in this house for the first time ever, and the walls are white, or are painted white, or have been painted white, I'm not going to question why. Right? So while I acknowledge that I must, only after understanding the importance in knowing that I have to question the color of the wall, because it allows me to understand the subject matter more, or the painter more, because I find meaning in that. But that is after asking the question, right? So what is instigating the question? As far as my conclusion so far of reflecting on this is, the very fact of a thing existing is drawing my attention. But obviously I'm not perceiving it that way.
Actually, this is a different way to say. As you remember, in the first session, we concluded that if you're not hungry, the existence of food does not attract you. Right? I think you're trying this same approach in a different way.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I will have something to say when you say. So I think, your question is really wonderful, and it has two answers. One sort of at the beginning, which can be a sort of puzzle of why it is this way, and then sort of come to it. I think gradualism, like there is a principle of gradualism that I think in the world, which is different from shock and awe. Like as a child, when I see myself growing up, there is some wonder, involved. Oh, what is this? But there is not a devastating shock. Like children don't look at the banana and go like that, or like, they don't get, frightened, like of a sudden sort of cognitive shock of like it exists. Right? It's more like, wow, so I think there's a principle which, so in the final analysis, is actually quite beautiful and quite wise, that it's like a gradual awakening to reality, like the way we come to consciousness. So I'm not born in my experience, and I'm like, what is this person that I came out of? Or I was trapped. So it's a gradual coming to awareness of my existence, and that gradualism, almost like, in one sense, I'm saying, and this is what I find that thing attractive or like truthful in the Quranic way of saying, there is no escaping unawareness as a default. In other words, it's only in hindsight that we come and ask this question of, why was I not already intrigued by existence itself? But it's an imaginary, again, like it's a counterfactual, we don't know, but if we just think about the wisdom of the way it's done, like it seems to me the wise thing that I gradually increase in my awareness of the very sort of gradually get intrigued by existence itself and not shocked into shocked into an awareness of it. So I guess the principle of gradualism about it, which from looking forward seems frustrating. I mean, why am I not so amazed by just encountering air immediately, right, or water? But when you walk the way, sort of looking backwards, one can say that it actually was very. It has wisdom. It has given my human how I am as a human being. The gradualist principle of awareness is actually much better than a shocking, because it has a purpose. Because I get the time. I'm given a time really to come to. So that was my thoughts with this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. We have to stop because we have very short time for praying. Inshallah. Okay. Let's pray.